Today, we're putting on our detective hats to investigate a massive secret hidden right inside your own head. We're going to treat the human mind as a fascinating mystery, tracing the clues to understand exactly how our thoughts interface with our physical reality. Let's dive in.
You've probably heard the phrase, your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined. Honestly, it sounds like a cheap motivational wellness tagline you'd see printed on a coffee mug, right? But as we dust for fingerprints, our first major clue reveals that this isn't just self-help fluff. It's actually a hard neurobiological fact.
So what if this cliché is actually a biological crime scene waiting to be uncovered? Let's look at the evidence. When neuroscientists pull fMRI data, those are the scans that show us what's happening in the brain in real time, we see something wild. A brain experiencing a real event versus one vividly imagining it looks virtually identical on the scan. It brilliantly illustrates that the brain doesn't process imagination as just some harmless daydream. It processes it as a live, high-stakes simulation.
Section 1. Examining the evidence in the visual and motor cortices. To crack this case and understand why this happens, we have to start by comparing how your brain handles reality versus a fabricated alibi. I mean, your imagination.
Imagine you're looking at a red apple. Your eyes send signals to the visual cortex at the back of your brain, mapping out the shape, the color, and the texture. But here's the crazy part. If you just close your eyes and picture that exact same apple, the exact same neural architecture fires up. The brain uses the exact same biological fingerprints to reconstruct an image in your head as it does to actually perceive it in real life.
And it's not just visuals. The same rule applies to movement. When you physically lift your hand, your primary motor cortex shoots electrical signals down your spinal cord to your muscles. But when you just mentally rehearse lifting your hand without moving an inch, that same motor cortex lights up like a Christmas tree. Your brain is actively running the physical program in the dark.
Now you might be asking yourself, wait, if the exact same motor signals are firing, why aren't our bodies just constantly thrashing around when we daydream? Well, it's because of a brilliant biological security system. Your brain cleverly applies an inhibitory signal right at the base of the brainstem. It essentially places a neurological lockdown that freezes the physical action, stopping your muscles from twitching while the simulation runs wild in your head. All right, let's open up the bizarre case files, Harvard and the Cleveland Clinic, because to prove this isn't just a theoretical parlor trick, we need to look at real-world physical changes.
First piece of evidence, the Harvard piano study. Researcher Alvaro Pascual-León split participants into two groups to learn a piano melody over 5 days. Group A physically practiced on a keyboard. Group B, they only imagined practicing. They just pictured their fingers moving and heard the notes in their heads. And the result? The participants who only imagined the practice showed the exact same structural expansion in their motor cortex as those who physically pounded the keys.
It gets even crazier. Over at the Cleveland Clinic, researcher Guang Yu uncovered something absolutely staggering, a massive 35% increase in physical muscle strength from participants who spent their time merely imagining flexing their pinky muscles. 35%! They just sat there, focused entirely on the mental command, and got 35% stronger. No way, right?
To put that into perspective, the group that actually sweated through the physical exercises saw a 53% strength increase. That means the imaginary workout was incredibly close behind the real one. This is the smoking gun proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that mental training literally strengthens the brain's ability to signal and recruit muscle fibers. Moving on to high-stakes fieldwork, how elite performers hack their brains. This neurological loophole isn't just for lab experiments, It's actively being exploited as an offline software update by elite performers operating under extreme pressure. Consider the evidence. Olympic skiers close their eyes and mentally run the course down to the millisecond, which pre-programs their motor cortex so their reflexes are instantaneous. High-risk surgeons mentally walk through complex anomalies beforehand, which totally lowers their acute fight-or-flight stress response when unexpected complications happen live. And astronauts? They run simulated failures mentally to keep their cognitive loads manageable in low-oxygen, high-stress environments. It's absolutely crucial. But detectives, every powerful tool has a dark side. Let's look at the culprit behind chronic stress. This extraordinary biological design can easily backfire, turning your own mind into a prime suspect for your daily struggles and physical exhaustion. So what exactly happens when the brain simulates the negative? Well, because your brain struggles to differentiate between a real threat and an imagined one,
this system can quickly turn against you. Visualizing a worst-case scenario while you're just sitting safely on your couch becomes the exact physiological blueprint for anxiety and chronic stress. When you vividly worry about losing a job or failing a test, your brain treats it as an active, unfolding emergency. It fires up the amygdala, your brain's alarm bell, triggering a massive release of cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate shoots up, your blood pressure spikes. Your brain is running a false simulation, but your body is paying a very real physical toll. You've essentially called in a neurological SWAT team for a threat that doesn't even exist. Which leads us to our final phase, the mastermind's blueprint, taking control of the simulation. How do we avoid being victims of our own neural architecture? Well, if you want to exploit this design feature for positive changes, throwing together a generic vision board with pictures of sports cars simply isn't going to cut it. To hijack this system, you must act as the mastermind. That requires following 3 strict rules of engagement to run a high-fidelity simulation. First, engage the senses. Don't just see a picture. What does a room smell like? What is the texture of the pen in your hand? Second, prioritize the emotion. Your brain relies on emotional weight to mark events as important, so feel the relief or the pride. And third, visualize the grueling process, not just the finish line.
Neuroscientific studies absolutely confirm this last point. You have to mentally rehearse the execution of the heist, the hard work, and the problem-solving required to achieve a goal. Doing that creates way stronger neural reinforcement than simply daydreaming about a vault full of cash at the end.
As we close the case file on this explainer, you are now equipped with the ultimate biological cheat code. You know exactly how the machinery works, but the final mystery remains entirely up to you to solve. You have the code, so what is your brain simulating right now? A masterpiece or an emergency?